My people, it's about that time.
Like a boss.
Live from the USA, helping you get paid every day. This is the boss of Bitcoin, the Cristo of crypto. It's your boy BK. And if you don't like me, you must not like money. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Today we are doing a live price analysis on 3 coins I think that can break out and make a lot of money both for you and for the blockchain. So if this is your first time tuning in, congratulations, baby. You are now rocking with the best. My name is BK, also known as a crypto trader, and I'm the boss of these charts, as you will soon find out. Every day I grace this microphone with my voice is another day you get to profit as a result, and today is no exception. So if you haven't done it already, make sure you like this video, subscribe, turn your notifications on. I make a video 7 days a week because the markets don't sleep, and now's a chance for you to make some money as a part of the greatest transformation of wealth in the history of humanity. You can win some free Bitcoin. That's white, F-R-E-E. Every single Friday, I give out free Bitcoin. All you have to do is leave a comment, shout your city out. Let me know where in the world you tuning in from. We have a global community, and I do respond to each and every comment you guys leave. And on Friday, I pick a random video, a random comment, and bam! It's just that easy to get paid. So let's go ahead and make this money. First coin we have on the list. First of all, let's jump back into this real quick. One of the reasons I wanted to do this video is because all too often we just get caught up in Bitcoin's price and, you know, how much money is Bitcoin making for me right now, when in reality there are tens of thousands of markets that are being created and traded against each other right now. Essentially, when you buy Bitcoin, when you place $1 in BTC, you have chosen not to place that dollar in, say, Ethereum, right? You've chosen not to place that dollar in Ripple and XRP, right? And so now we need to almost have a time cost of money. How much is this dollar making me per IOTA unit time when it's in Bitcoin, when it's in Ripple, when it's in Solana, when it's in Cardano. But that's what the boss method does. That's what I've been able to distill, and aggregate for you guys in a very, very, very simple methodology. It's 3 simple moving averages, a fast, a medium, and a long. And between the triangulation of the 3, you essentially are able to pin down the momentum of future events likely or expected to happen. All too often I say it in my charts, 1 + 2 = 3. When you can infer the past from the present, the future no longer becomes a mystery, right? And so that's your metaphysical theology, you know what I'm saying, for the evening. This is how we translate that into Binance. Breakout, breakdown. This was our first big macro cycle. Boom, boom. You see we take a Fibonacci from that extension right there, and just like magic, this thing capstones right here between the 4.2 and the 4.6, and it gives you the very, very, very clear lines that Binance is resonating with, right? Now, when we take this thing off, and you can see, so basically it broke out, broke down, and now it's coming to, cessation within the 2.2 to 2.4. This is basically a very, very good place to continue. I just showed you that to show you that indeed one cycle does predicate the next. What is interesting about Binance is now this thing is entering a new cycle, and that's going to be from low to low. Right, so I just showed you the first cycle that it is kind of completing a little rest stop within. This is the second one, and this is what gets me excited about this chart, because now you see what's crazy about this is this thing resonates towards the 1.6. That's basically, the natural extension. You can see at one place it was suppression as a ceiling. On the other side it was support as a floor, and now it's coming up to suppression again. Once it breaks out, it's going to want to run up to the 2.2, if not to the 3.2, which is at this price, I believe, north of probably close to 80%, I want to say. 110%. That's where it wants to get back up to. And Binance has its own smart contract, its own exchange, its own liquidity pool. Binance is essentially a gateway to, say, 2,000 other cryptos that are, in need of liquidity as well. How many coins are on Binance, right? 1,000, right? 379 coins, 1,200 trading pairs. So this is one of the largest crypto economies in the world, one of the most notable platforms in the world, and it's setting up to begin a new cycle right before our very eyes. Now, keep in mind, this is a multi-year cycle, and that's one of the reasons I come on here and say things like, it's easy to get caught up in, oh, this news article came out and the price did this. But when you take years of data, essentially the relevancy of an instantaneous recognition of a news article disappears. Right now we start tying into the mantra. How does the world feel about this asset over time? And 9 out of 10 times when you talk about blockchain technology, that chart is going to be up and to the right, especially when you're measuring against dollars. What we're doing here, we're measuring against Bitcoin. So we're saying over time, Binance has been outperforming Bitcoin on average. That's why this chart is going up and to the right. Right? And that's what the boss method does, is it allows you to capture more Bitcoin per Iono unit time, while we already know in the background Bitcoin is capturing you more dollars on average. Right? So Binance is a great coin to look at for accumulation right now, going into the macro cycle. I think another one that has a lot of potential here has been just settling down for the past couple months. This is Solana. Solana is another top 10 coin that I've talked about a few times on this channel. There goes the harmonics on it. Again, you can see how easy I do that. It's like when you tie into the beginning, the rest of the story is going to tell itself, right? And this is when I say 1 + 2 = 3. When you get part 1 and it agrees with part 2, then by definition, part 3 is no longer a mystery. You see what I'm saying? Like we just chilling right now between the 3-2 and the 2-4, consolidating. What does that mean? That means this is going to be more than likely a breakout pattern. And keep in mind, look at this. Look at how much money Solana made on Bitcoin. That's 4,000% over a year. Ridiculous. That doesn't happen too often. And this is one of the biggest potential earners in all of the cryptoverse, and that's why I'm doing this video, to try to help you guys make some money on it. I think right here it's interesting because you almost don't have it's hard to tie it into this first cycle again, so I think you're gonna have to do this one. I think this one is just exhausted and starting a new one like that, right? And then it still ties in because you still have, normally you just want it to agree. So essentially the 2-2 is kind of like the capstone now. And this thing, but that means when it breaks out, this thing is going to run. It's going to double tap all-time highs. You see that? When this thing jumps out, it's going to slow down at the 1.6, but once it gets above that, boom, taps it for support. It uses it as a trampoline, and this thing literally jumps out the gym. Guys, at this point of the video, I know we're running through these charts really quick. I just want to let you know, if you do appreciate this content, if you made it this far, just hit that thumbs up button for me. I'm trying to get this content out to as many people as possible. We are slowly growing this channel back to one of the best crypto trading channels available on YouTube. My mission is to change the world and help as many people make as much money as possible through the greatest transformation of wealth in the history of humanity. And I have one of the simplest methodologies for you to achieve that goal. I've already changed my life. I'm good. Now my goal is to help people who haven't been able to help themselves. I'm sick and tired of my people being sick and tired. Who are my people? Anybody that heeds these words right now. You know what I'm saying? The universe connected us, my frequency aligned with yours, and now we can co-create our future together. This is how the world works. Change of values, change of worth. All too often, we only put our value into what we were told to put value into. All too often, we forget that within ourselves, we hold the power to place value wherever we deem fit. And Dr. Delbert Blair said it best. He said, truth does not exist until you decide what truth is. And I think the minute we start taking heed into the information we put into our minds, the minute we decide to lessen the authoritative regime we have delegated to such said powers, the minute we start claiming our own sovereignty is the minute we find ourselves in a much better situation for the future. 1 + 2 = 3. But all too often, people ain't got no money. They ain't got no money. They can't afford no good food. They can't afford no good food. They can't buy no good health. You know, and this becomes generational curses. And so the first chain we go break is let's put some more money in the bank. And this is how we do it, the boss method. So hit that like button. That's my long way of saying hit the like button. Whales are buying Bitcoin hand over fist, but wait a minute, we got one more chart. We did XOP, we did SOL. No, we didn't do XRP. XRP is the last one. XRP is like the banker's coin. This has been down like 90-95% versus Bitcoin. I just did a video on this chart 2 or 3 days ago. As you can see from the top of the top back here, what is that down? This is down quite a bit. This one. This thing is down 94% versus Bitcoin. Keep in mind that's over, 7-8 years? But I tell you what, once you start going the other way, them numbers add up pretty quick, don't they? That look like 2,000% on the up. So as long as you didn't lose 94% on the way down, you got a chance to make some real deal money. Everything is going up and to the right over the next 10 years. We are watching the greatest transformation of wealth. The rich will get exuberantly rich, and the poor will become lifelong servants. Unfortunately, if you don't own Bitcoin, if you have not began to learn what this technology does, why it's useful, and if you had not begun to transmit your own energy into the blockchain, people don't realize cash is energy. I correlate it to water, but essentially water is energy. It can't be created or destroyed. It merely transforms from one form to another. That's why they call money cash, aka the liquid asset. You see what I'm saying? It's all energy, right? And what I wanted to touch on earlier in this video is the markets between Bitcoin, blockchain, and the dollar. Blockchain and the dollar are mutually exhaustive. What is mutually exhaustive mean? That means if you put all the money in the world in one bucket, right? The dollar is one bucket, fiat currency, just call it fiat currency, government-backed, military industrial complex, petrodollar, whatever form or facet that government piece of paper, private-owned debt note covers, it's in bucket A. Well, bucket B is called the blockchain. And those two buckets will forever exist outside of one another. They can never come into contact. Because when you put a dollar bill into Bitcoin, by definition, you just removed it from the U.S. monetary supply. And see, this is the elephant in the room that people haven't really been talking about. This is why we've watched inflation skyrocket over the past 10 years. This is why people 70 years old working at Walmart, working at Target, trying to find some extra money because the money they made is no longer valuable. It's not that they made a bunch of bad decisions and got arrested, got 2 strikes. Like, no, like, you know, they had $50,000 saved up, $100,000 saved up. Like, that ain't nothing nowadays. You can't even buy a Big Mac meal for like $14, $15. That's crazy. Why would you even eat that garbage for $15? You might as well take your money and go give it to somebody on the street. Let them buy that Big Mac meal for $15. Don't spend your good money on that poison. You know? But they're mutually exhaustive. One does not come into contact with each other, which means at this point in time on CoinMarketCap, we can see that we have about $2.176 trillion liquidity, hard liquid asset removed from monetary supply of the U.S. government and all other governments around the world. It's not just the United States, but, you know, they the biggest one, you know? So $2.6 trillion have been pulled out of one bucket, placed in another, and as a result, that money had to be printed up and recirculated on top of the existing money. And this is why we've seen the U.S. debt skyrocket as of late. It's like every time you look at this number gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But it's a problem around the world. So it's not like it's just in the United States. It's just we spend money faster than probably the next 12 combined. It's crazy. It's crazy how much money they go through. So that's my long way of saying that XRP is a great buy for the moment. They just had a huge court case settled. They only have to pay a few pennies on the dollar for what they were expecting. This was just announced, I believe, a week ago. So that was right over in there. And you can see the chart has responded positively. I think it's already up about 20% if we zoom in on the candles. You know, and it has, that's just the very beginning, right? It's up 8% since the middle of the month. But this is one of, I think, the biggest upsides. Like, XRP led the market early 2017. Like, look at that run. That was crazy. I was there. 2,000% in 2 months. Like, that's what these coins do. That's what the market does. You know, when one bucket is just printing fake money and the other bucket is giving you real assets on a distributed ledger of truth, which bucket do you want to place your value into? That's your choice. That's your choice. God gave us free will. Use it to the best of your ability. Here's what the whales are doing with theirs. Whales were serious about buying the dip. They accumulated much more Bitcoin in July. How much more did they accumulate? Well, they did about $5 billion in July. And this is 19 hours ago. So it's very relevant. 8/12/24. I think one of the things down here, right here, recent whale activity was turbulent. Around 82% of all Bitcoin holders are in the money, which allows more than 70% of the buyers to hold beyond 12 months. Essentially, that means 80% of all the Bitcoin in existence is out of circulation for the next 12 months because sellers don't really have a reason to sell it. You really only go sell it when you start losing money. And this is why it's the greatest transformation of wealth, because they're trading dollars that are based on negative value for equity in cryptocurrency markets that are only going to increase. And once they make money, they just keep dumping more money in. It's a very, very simple self-fulfilling prophecy, like a rising tide floats all boats. So now we need to start looking at, okay, well, what coins are the best options? What coins do we have the greatest probability to increase our rate of Bitcoin earned per unit time? Because Bitcoin is going to keep going up and to the right against dollars forever. That problem's already been solved. So now it's okay. Now the game becomes accumulate as much Bitcoin as fast as possible, point blank, period. And this is how we do it. Pay attention to the signs. Understand how this game is changing. Understand that in one hand, you know, you got the red pill. You know what I'm saying? You wake up in your cubicle, click a few buttons on your computer, and clock out for your lunch break. But clock back in 30 minutes because you ain't got an hour, right? We only pay you for 30 minutes, right? In other hand, take the blue pill, you know, come on over to Wonderland and see how deep the rabbit hole really goes. It's a much better choice, people. And the whales are showing you that they're beginning to value Bitcoin greatly. In this chart, if we just look at BTC, like the slope of that long-term average we have, the gray area right here, this is why I think Bitcoin is going to continue to break out. Because this slope right here, this run rate, this is probably the fastest I've seen this run. This means institutions, hedge funds, whales, billionaires, whatever you want to call them, have been buying Bitcoin since it was $30,000. And right now it's at 60. That means they already doubled their money, which means they're probably going to move some money around to get some more on this pot. And that's going to send it up to 120. And then it's going to happen all over again. And it's going to happen all over again. And it might take a break. You know, it might go from 120 down to 80 for maybe 7-8 months. Let everybody talk bad about it. Might even drop back down to 60. Who knows? But once it cracks 100 for the second time, it's not coming back down. It's not coming back down. Especially if you got, you know, a political puppet. He's still a puppet. That speaks favorably of it, you know, until he actually initiates. And maybe that's why they tried to put a bullet in the head. Because, you know, the last one that talked bad about the Federal Reserve, that's what he got. You know, 1968. Don't believe me? Look it up. Go listen to his speech. So, you know, this one talking about, oh, we could pay it off with Bitcoin. Well, shit. Pay this bullet with Bitcoin. You never know how these things happen, people. I'm just paying attention to the world. You know what I'm saying? I ain't speculating. I'm just, you know, observing. I'm a silent observer till I sit in this microphone and these ideas just appear. So here you go. We got Solana, we got XRP, and we got BNB, and you have a chance to win free Bitcoin. Shout your city out in the comments. And if you want to join me on my journey to change the world, I've already given away 2 charts for free this week. Both of them are in the profit. You get an invite to this free trading group. Just go to bossofbitcoin.com, shoot me your phone number, just drop it in there. I'm going to send you the invite for the group on Telegram. Bam! It's just that easy to get paid. As long as we don't have millions of dollars simultaneously on any one of these coins at any given time, guess what? The market got to pay us. So this is your invitation. You know what I'm saying? Come on in. The doors are always open. My name is Brandon Kelly. It was a pleasure speaking with you this evening. Let me know where you joining me from. You know, when you some free Bitcoin on Friday. With that being said, it's that time of the day. Signing out. Boss. Boy BK, no matter where you stay. Brazil to Bay, California, all the way back out through Germany. Good night, good morning, and good day. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your time. Hit that thumbs up button for a player. One time. Do that for me if you appreciate mine. Till we meet again. Stay cryptic, y'all. Peace.
Like a boss.
Huh.